Hello there, I'm Matt from JetBrains, and I'm going to dive into how we've integrated AI into ReSharper, our popular productivity plugin for Visual Studio. If you're not familiar with ReSharper, it's a great tool for working with .NET codebases in Visual Studio. It indexes nearly everything, giving you super fast navigation so you can jump to different methods and classes and find usages of stuff. You've got a great editing experience with smart code completion, typing assistance, live templates, and so on. And a very powerful refactoring engine, which can automatically rewrite your code, renaming symbols, extracting methods, introducing variables, and lots more. ReSharper also analyzes your code with thousands of inspections highlighting potential issues, everything from possible null references and unused methods to code style and formatting. And with a quick Alt-Enter keyboard shortcut, ReSharper will help you rewrite, refactor, and improve your code. So what can AI bring? There are a lot of things that AI, or rather large language models, are good at, but primarily generating text, generating summaries, explanations, boilerplate. And by integrating these smartly into ReSharper, we can introduce some pretty nifty features that can help you learn, quickly understand your code base, and make it faster to complete tasks. Let's take a look at it in action. The AI Assistant has various different entry points in the ReSharper user interface. Of course, there's the main chat tool window, but the easiest way to get going is to use the famous Alt-Enter menu. This is ReSharper's main keyboard shortcut and will show you quick fixes, context actions, and other features for refactoring, navigation, and so on. It makes sense that the AI Assistant functionality is available here too. Now we can extend this submenu here and see all the different items that are available at this point. We'll come back to this shortly, but first of all, let's have a look at the top level AI Assistant menu item, which will open up the chat window. Now we can ask some questions. But what are we going to ask? It can definitely feel like the AI Assistant is a shift in the way that you work, but the power of the chat interface is that you can ask it anything, such as, what can I do? This will make a request of the AI Assistant, and it then should list us a few of the things that it is capable of answering. So first of all, we've got code assistance there, so it can help us understand code snippets. It can help with debugging by looking for issues in your code. So you can query it and say, can you find any issues in this particular method? Help you with version control, working with Git, documentation for ReSharper and Visual Studio functionality. File management, code analysis, looking for issues there, and also Unity game development. The demo project I've got open right now is a Unity game, and it's nice that the AI Assistant recognizes this and provides some context. We also understand when you're in a web application and so on. So let's try it with some ReSharper questions there. So how do I rename a class? Now the request is being sent to the JetBrains AI service, and there we choose the best model for the request. We're using OpenAI GPT 3.5 and 4, as well as some of our own models. So we're not tied to a particular model or provider, and we can bring in new models in the future. And we've got a response back here where the AI Assistant has pulled information from the ReSharper documentation, and it's showing us there how to use the rename refactoring to safely rename just the symbols for this particular code element there. Now, but it's not just code documentation that we've got going there as well. We can also ask it general purpose programming questions too. So I'm in a Unity project, so let's just create a new chat, and I can say, how do I interpolate 2 points? And there we go. This is giving me some example there of how to do interpolation, how I can linearly interpolate between 2 points based on a specific time there. And it gives me a bit of C# code to do it. And this is a great feature, just like with the documentation, saves me having to leave the IDE. I can stay in Visual Studio, don't have to go off to the web browser and start searching the web, opening several web pages, summarizing information. The AI can do this for me, which is very helpful there. I can stay in my IDE, I can learn, I can understand new concepts without having to go anywhere there. But this is great. I've got some useful information here that I can use in my game, but I'm using Unity, and surely a game engine has got a way of doing this for us. So I can just say, is there anything built into Unity? And this shows a really powerful feature of the chat interface where it maintains the context there. If I was doing this on a web browser, I would have had to start a new search. I'd have had to put in the whole details again, that I'm interested in linear interpolating 2 points inside Unity to find me my particular method here, vector3.lerp. But the context is maintained in my chat, so I can just kind of refine my question and ask it to do things and ask it to update the text there. So you can actually have a conversation rather than just a simple question and answer there. And speaking of context, it's nice to know that the ReSharper here, the AI assistant, understands that I'm in a Unity project there. And that's because ReSharper provides a great deal of context to the AI assistants. It can understand, obviously, that we're inside Visual Studio, what version of ReSharper we're using, the C# version we're using even, dependencies, the fact that it's a Unity project, and much more. We'll have a look at this in a little bit later on. So AI is very good at summarizing information. The chat is great for asking questions, understanding new concepts, learning things where I don't have to go out to the web to do so. I can stay inside my IDE and learn these things. Let's switch now over to the Alt-Enter menu and see what some of the additional features are that were in there. So you can see I've got this method here called spawn agent, which the C# documentation helpfully tells me spawns the agent. I would like to understand a little bit more about that, so I can do Alt-Enter on this, go to my AI assistant, expand the items there, and the first item on the list is explain this. This will pass this over to the chat there and ask for a better explanation. And you can see now the AI is going to be summarizing this function, this method, and providing a much better summary than was provided in my XML documentation. And it even tells me the method is crucial for the gameplay of a tower defense game as it controls the creation of enemy units that the player must defend against. In fact, it would be nice if we could get a better summary for the XML documentation, which is another feature we've got here. You can do write XML documentation for this. And again, we get the chat window. It's going to generate me some code. We're going to make use of the fact that AI is great at summarizing things. And we can see here now that we've got a bit of a better summary going on here. But only just. Spawns an agent, let's say add some remarks. There we go, that's more like it. So I could copy my initial item there, select the existing text and just paste it over, and then come along, grab my remarks and paste that in as well. And now I've got a much better XML documentation than I had before. And this is a very useful feature because it takes away some of the boilerplate for you. If it makes it easier to generate XML documentation, then we're more likely to get XML documentation in our projects. And therefore our projects are more easily understood, and it's can only be a good thing. We can do a similar thing with another class here, with our poolable class. I can Alt-Enter on here, go to the AI assistant and do explain this. And the AI assistant can explain the whole class itself. I'm going to fast forward this because it's a bit of a longer class. But you can see it's generated as a nice summary of the poolable class, which is obviously going to be pooling object behavior there so that we don't have to keep on reallocating items. We can reuse them instead. But not only can I just say, what does this do, explain this, I can say, how can I use this? And now the AI will actually hopefully generate me some sample code for how to use it there. So I can say that I can create my poolable objects, create a new pool. I should be able to use the try get poolable method to get an instance of the object, and then use repool to release it back again. So it's a great way of being able to learn how to use your code, understand your code base better, understand what something is doing, but also how to use it, which is very, very powerful. Now if we swap over to another method, I've got this input controller and I've got an update method here. I can do another useful feature, which is find issues in. And here the code is going to be looking at the AI, is going to be looking at the code and looking to see if there are any known issues with it. And one thing we can see is that there is a potential issue. It calls the update_mouse method twice. So that was something that was missed during code review. We obviously got a comment now which says handle touches, but what we actually want to be able to do is update mouse. And in fact, it's given us a little bit of code here to say that we should be calling update touches. Now we've got another method here. If we look at update mouse itself underneath it, it's a very large method here. We could then ask the AI to do some summaries here, or what we could also do is look for find issues in that one. One of the things it might suggest is that the method is too long and that we should actually refactor it. So we can use the refactor this menu here to see how the AI would suggest to refactor this code. And we can see that one of the things it does is actually split the code up. So we've got one massive method here for update mouse. The AI is suggesting we actually split it up into several different methods. Now, if we look at the top of this method here, you can see that the query, the request that was sent is very straightforward. It says refactor the following code with the code snippet, and it says improve code readability, code quality, make the code more organized and understandable. What if we wanted to do something different? If we go back to our code and do Alt-Enter, go to our AI Assistant menu here, we can see that we've got a prompt library item here. And in fact, if we click on the button down here, we can also click Change Prompts. And we bring up our dialog here to be able to change the prompts that we're using. And in fact, we are able to change the refactor this prompt. You can see that it was written there, refactor the following code, improve code readability, code quality, and make code more organized and understandable. And we've got a magic variable here, $selection, for being able to add our own selection. We could add our own comments in here if we wanted to add anything else. Make sure to add comments, for example, so we can have our code commented, or add XML documentation comments. And if we click OK on that one and run this one now, we should see now that we've got our newer updates to the methods. It's broken our methods down again into smaller methods, and it's added XML documentations now as well. We can also go and do add new prompt, so I can add a custom prompt, and we can do something nice and silly, such as explain the following in the style of pirate. And then we can add our $selection item there. We've also got a button here where you can improve your prompt with AI. So you can actually ask the AI assistant to improve the prompt and give you a better prompt. If I click that, we've got a fairly simple prompt as it is. If I select that, we end up with a fairly simple change there. I can also click the Show in Alt-Enter menu here, and then click OK. And now if we Alt-Enter here, in fact, let's go to a slightly smaller method for this one. If we go to, well, in fact, let's go back to our wave item, spawn agent. If I do Alt-Enter, AI Assistant, pirate explain, as it was helpfully called, we should now see that it's going to reply in the style of a pirate. Now, this is a trivial example and not necessarily something we would do unless you wanted to lighten the mood just a little bit, but it can be used for much more useful features here as well by providing additional context and additional prompts to a question which you frequently ask. So if there's something you ask many times in the AI assistant, then you can reuse this, save it as a prompt, and reuse it and edit it. You can also provide additional context. For example, you might want to be saying to use a specific cryptographic algorithm or a specific random number generator, and make sure that any code generated is using these particular parameters. So we can summarize code, we can refactor code, we can suggest items, we can have a look at code. We've also got support for code generation as well. So for example, if I've got a currency class here, and if I just start creating a value type here, a pay method, then the AI assistant should kick in and suggest some code generation for us. A very simple suggestion here: the current currency, take away the value, and then optionally fire the currency changed value. And it knows as well to make sure to check that for null before invoking it. And it's not just code completion here as well. If we use the generate method, which is the alt insert, that brings up the generate menu. Down at the bottom here, we've got the ability to generate a unit test as well as generating a whole load of things. If we generate unit tests for this classes, here we get a dialog here allowing us to say where we're going to put our test project, what test framework we're going to use, what the class name is, and so on. We also get a checkbox for generate test content with AI. So let's select this and run that. And you can see now that the AI is going to start generating us some code. This one takes a moment, so let's fast forward this as well. And there we can see now that the AI has generated us a number of different methods to test our class here. This is very helpful for generating a bunch of boilerplate there. Saves me having to run through a whole bunch of scenarios and type and type and type until it's all done. I've got the AI to generate this for me. I can now, of course, review that these scenarios are correct, that they cover everything that I want it to cover, and then run my test to make sure that everything is working as expected. Now, before we finish, I just want to come back to the chat because there's a lot of things going on that you might not have noticed before. This isn't just a straightforward chat, but ReSharper is creating and optionally sending lots of different pieces of context. So obviously we were telling it that you're inside Visual Studio using ReSharper, what versions you're using, what version of the language you're using, what your references are, the fact that this is a Unity project, and so on. But there's more information being sent as well. So let's just take a look at the example for the poolable class. If we take a look at the initial query here, you see there's a small note there saying 4 files were sent. And if I click the 3 dots, I get a number of options. Firstly, I can reprompt, so I could rerun this prompt if I wanted to. I could copy, I could add this particular prompt to the library, or more importantly, I can see what files were sent there and I can use those to navigate around. I can jump to poolable, I can jump to the related poolable effect, and so on. The AI assistant is really quite smart about generating context. It's not just the currently open files and so on. It also allows the AI to call back into the AI assistant as well to ask for more information. So primarily we send the information of the currently open files, the currently selected text, and so on. But if the AI needs more information, it can ask the IDE to go and find it. And there's a number of things we can do here. Let's create a new chat. We can do things. We can show this basically at work with simple questions like, what are the currently open files? And this should now list the open files. Or we could say, what are my current changes? And now that will check the Git status of the files, and it'll list all the files that are currently being ready to be committed, that have been deleted, have been added to the staging area, that are untracked, and so on. But we can do some smarter things there as well. So ReSharper obviously has indexed your project, and it can understand and find things very easily. So we can ask the AI assistant, find me all files related to currency. So if I want to look at where my currency class is being used, then the AI assistant can go off and it can go and find those. And so we can see that there are a number of files being listed here for me with my currency UI, currency effector, currency change info, and so on. And in fact, we could also ask, where is currency used? And this will go off and do a find usages and find out where this currency is used and give me that information in the chat. And here the AI can give us some more information about where the currency class is being used and how it's being used there as well. So you get a little bit of context here as to how your code is being used as opposed to just where it's being used. And in fact, because this is a Unity project and because the Unity plugin for ReSharper indexes all of your Unity asset files, we can type something like, where is show level select menu used? Where is show level select menu used? And when the AI asks ReSharper to go and find it, ReSharper can find it and say that it's actually used inside a Unity scene file, and it's actually being used as part of the canvas, the main object under the canvas, the menu buttons under that, and then part of the level select. So you can see that ReSharper is very active in providing smart context to the AI chat, and the AI can ask for more information to provide even better context. And this put together can help you understand more about your code, easily understand your code base, learn new features, learn new functionality, and see how your code is being used. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the AI assistant in ReSharper. It's a great way to enhance your ReSharper experience and bring AI into your workflows. If you'd like to try it for yourself, you can download a 30-day trial version of ReSharper at jetbrains.com/ReSharper, and you can find out more about the AI assistant, including the trial version, at jetbrains.com/AI. Thanks for watching.